One of the UK's largest intensive driving course providers came to us after a website migration quietly tanked their performance. Traffic had dropped, their most important pages weren't converting, and competitors were starting to outrank them for terms they used to own. 6 months later, we helped them achieve an 11.86 times higher conversion rate on their most important landing page, a 21% increase in direct bookings, and a 14.5% lift in organic revenue year on year. And this campaign went on to win the Northern Digital Awards 2026 Best SEO Campaign. Now, before you think this was some advanced growth hack or secret trick, look, it wasn't. And it came down to fixing the fundamentals that most companies completely overlook. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what we did step by step so you can apply the same strategy to your own brand. Let's dive in. So what went wrong? The client is Pass Me Fast. They're one of the UK's largest providers of intensive and semi-intensive driving courses. They operate across the entire country, so local visibility is a massive part of how their business works. Someone in Manchester searching for an intensive driving course needs a completely different experience compared to someone, let's say, in London or Bristol. Before working with us, they had gone through a large-scale headless CMS migration, and after that migration, the organic clicks dropped by around 26%. But here's what made this tricky. The migration didn't break things in an obvious way. The site didn't go down, pages weren't returning errors. It wasn't a dramatic crash, it was more subtle. And that's actually the most dangerous kind of problem because it's harder to spot. Duplicate URLs had been created during the migration, so Google was now seeing multiple versions of the same content. Several pages were competing against each other for the same search queries, which is called cannibalization. User journeys had become confusing for people who were ready to book. And on top of all that, years of technical debt from the old platform had carried over into the new CMS. So the result was that their most important pages simply weren't doing their job. People searching for intensive driving courses weren't landing on the right pages. Their prices page was competing directly against the home page for the same queries. Key location pages weren't performing the way they should have been, and the business was losing potential customers every single day to competitors who were appearing above them for terms that should have been theirs. Now, what most SEO agencies would do here is run a technical audit and start ticking things off a massive 40-page checklist. And that's not a terrible starting point, but the issue went deeper than a list of broken things to fix. The site structure itself was working against the business. So instead of just patching what was broken, we stepped back and asked, what are people actually searching for when they want to book an intensive driving course? What information do they need before they commit? And which pages should be doing the heavy lifting for conversions? That buyer intent analysis is what shaped everything we did next. And by the way, if your brand is dealing with something similar right now, maybe you're struggling with nailing SEO or had a site migration your brand hasn't quite recovered from, we help brands, both big and small, build a system that turns organic visibility into actual customers. Just click the first link in the description to book a free intro call with us, and we'll take a look at exactly what's going on. Now back to the breakdown. So what did we actually change? Once we understood the buyer journey, we made a series of changes across 2 phases. And the important thing here is that none of these were isolated fixes. They compounded on each other. The first thing we did was redirect low-value blog content to commercial pages. Pass Me Fast had a resources folder full of blog posts that were ranking and bringing in traffic, but almost none of that traffic was converting into bookings. We ran a content audit and found that a lot of these posts were targeting topics that had very little connection to the business. Things like buying a car maintenance, car insurance, car accessories. These might get clicks, but someone reading about car accessories is not about to book an intensive driving course. So we made the decision to redirect that content to the commercial pages that actually contribute to revenue. The reason this works is that when you redirect a URL, Google passes the authority and link signals from the old page to the new one. So instead of that authority being spread thin across pages that don't convert, it gets concentrated on the pages that do. This is a move that a lot of brands are scared to make because it means losing traffic on paper on one hand, but traffic that doesn't convert isn't worth protecting if it's diluting the pages that actually drive your business forward. The second and biggest change was repositioning the prices page into a completely new intent first courses page. Their old prices page was exactly what it sounds like, a list of prices for different course types. But when someone searches for intense driving courses near me, they're not just looking for a price list. They want to understand what's included, how it works, where they can take it, and how to book. So we replaced prices with a new courses page that was designed entirely around purchase intent. It answered the questions people actually have at the moment they're ready to buy, not just how much does it cost? This was a bold decision because the business had relied heavily on that prices page, not just for SEO, but also for paid campaigns. But we saw launching courses as a primary objective early on, even though there was no guarantee it would work. The old /prices page had a conversion rate of around 0.14%. The new /courses page hit 1.66%. The reason the uplift was so dramatic is because the old page was poorly aligned to intent, so the baseline was low. There was also a disconnect between the actual courses they provided and a landing page that encompassed all the courses together. When you replace a page that was never designed to convert with one that is purpose built for it, those kind of improvements are achievable, but it requires getting the intent mapping right. Within 90 days of launch, leads from that page went from 325 to 825. That's a 157% increase from a single page change. The third thing was restructuring over 100 local area pages. For a business like Pass Me Fast, local pages are everything because their customers search by location, but the existing area pages were generic templates with the minimal local relevance. We rebuilt these pages together with their team around actual local search behavior in each region. That meant localized H1s, metadata, internal links to course pages, and answers to common questions about test centers, routes, and lesson types in that specific area. We also restructured the Manchester and London page hierarchies based on population data because those cities needed a deeper structure given the volume of searches they receive. The result was that these pages started ranking for hundreds of intensive driving terms across the UK that were previously going straight to competitors. London clicks alone went up 65% year on year. And alongside all of this, we fixed over 100 technical issues in their CMS and structured data. The headless CMS migration had introduced duplicate URLs, broken structured data, crawl path issues, canonical tag loops, the kind of things that don't necessarily show up in your analytics dashboard, but prevent Google from properly understanding and ranking your pages. We worked through these systematically across the first few months, collaborating with the then in-house team to optimize how the headless CMS handles image loading, heading structures, and page speed performance. We also cleaned up URL structures, implemented 301 redirects for blog content, and added proper schema markup so Google could display richer results in search. This is the part of SEO that nobody wants to make videos about because it's often the difference between a site that Google trusts and one that doesn't. So what didn't work? Now I think one of the things that makes this campaign really worth talking about is that not everything worked the first time. And I think it's important to be honest about that because you don't learn much from case studies that only show the highlight reel. We actually ran a click-through rate test on some of our metadata changes and it actually made things worse. We saw a 15% decrease in clicks as soon as we made the change, so we rolled it back as soon as we confirmed it wasn't performing, alongside some other corrective measures. After rolling it back with the additional changes, we ended up with a 51% improvement in clicks compared to where we started. The point I'm trying to make here is that testing is not just about getting every single thing right on the first try. It's about having a process for measuring what works, cutting what doesn't, and learning from each round. Every recommendation we made had a clear expectation attached to it, and it was our responsibility to communicate the impact honestly, whether it was good news or bad. We also had to deal with AI overviews hitting their informational content hard. The resources section saw 43% traffic drop once AI overviews started appearing more frequently for the queries those articles were targeting. Rather than obsessing over the traffic loss, we adjusted the approach in a few ways. We consolidated or removed articles that lacked clear commercial value. We updated high-performing articles with better formatting, tables, summaries, lists, and FAQs to improve their chances of being included in AI-generated results. And we shifted content focus toward mid and bottom funnel topics since AI overviews were primarily impacting top of funnel discovery for this particular brand. We also added FAQ page schema to key local pages and started exploring YouTube as a channel since search is becoming more multi-platform by the day. This is something every brand is going to have to deal with going forward, so having a plan for it is better than pretending it's not happening. And one more turning point worth mentioning is that we shifted from Trustpilot to Google reviews around about November 2024, and once Google reviews were active, we saw the full impact of the campaign start to come to life. It helped improve reputational signals directly in search results and gave us a stronger foundation for long long-term growth. The judges at the Northern Digital Awards specifically called out the Google Reviews approach and the depth of our click-through rate analysis as things that set our campaign apart from the others. The results. So let me put the full picture together. Between June 2024 to May 2025, here's what happened. Leads from the new /courses page went from 321 to 825 within 90 days. That's a 157% increase. The /courses page conversion rate was a 1.66% compared to the previous 0.14% on the old prices page. That's 11.86 times improvement. Direct bookings from organic search increased by 21%. Organic revenue grew by 14.5% year on year, and London clicks were up 65% year on year. And Pass Me Fast now ranks in the top 3 for terms like intensive driving lessons, intensive driving course, refresher driving lessons, crash course, and driving course. Previously, they couldn't even compete for any of those terms. Now, the /courses page is the highest traffic destination on the entire site. But these results didn't come from one change or one tactic. The redirects concentrated authority on the pages that matter. The new courses page captured purchase intent. The local restructure expanded reach across the UK. The technical fixes removed friction, and the testing approach meant we could course correct quickly when something didn't work. Each piece reinforce the others, and that's what caused things to compound over time. Now, this kind of work takes patience, it takes close collaboration with the client's team, and requires being honest about what's working and what's not. And the industry recognized our work. This campaign was shortlisted for 4 separate award categories, 3 UK Search Awards and the UK E-commerce Awards, and it won the Northern Digital Awards 2026 Best SEO Campaign. Now, if your SEO isn't delivering the results you need, click the first link in the description to book a free intro call with us. We'll look at your site, your data, and your goals and give you an assessment of what's working, what isn't, and how we can potentially help. So again, click the first link below to book a free call. And if you want to learn how brands can rank at the top of Google today, then watch this video next.